A wealthy man gets into an accident while saving a poor homeless man. The homeless man immediately ran over to help him. The driver stepped out of the car, but instead of helping the injured businessman, he noticed a bag full of cash beside him. The driver angrily said, "Can't you people look before crossing the road?" The homeless man replied, "You hit him, and now you're blaming us. Stop talking and help him." The driver pulled out his phone and said, "I'm calling an ambulance." But instead of making the call, he secretly opened the businessman's bag and stole the cash. The homeless man saw everything and shouted, "Why are you stealing his money?" Ignoring him, the driver slipped the cash into his pocket and quickly called over a nearby police officer. The officer asked, "What's going on here?" The driver immediately pointed at the homeless man and said, "He stole the money." The homeless man replied, "I didn't steal anything." He's lying. Taking advantage of the confusion, the driver quickly drove away. The police officer and the homeless man helped the injured businessman stand up. Later that day, the businessman was helping a blind man cross the street. While doing so, several bills accidentally fell out of his pocket. A young man riding a motorcycle picked up the money and sped away. The businessman shouted, "Please give me my money back. Why are you taking it?" But the motorcyclist ignored him and disappeared. A little later, the businessman intentionally dropped some money on the sidewalk. At that moment, a poor father was walking by with his young son. The boy pointed at the ground and said, "Dad, someone dropped their money." His father smiled and said, "Go return it to the owner's son." The boy picked up the money, walked over to the businessman and said, "Sir, I think this is yours." The businessman smiled warmly and thanked him, and says the boy, "You helped me. I'd like you to keep this money and says this a reward for your honesty." The boy happily accepted the gift and ran back to his father. The next day, the poor father and his son arrived at a company for a job interview. Standing in the lobby were the same driver and the same motorcyclist. One of them laughed and said, "What are you doing here?" The poor man answered, "I'm here for a job interview." They mocked him, saying, "This company doesn't hire people like you. Jobs here are for successful people like us. Go back to begging." Just then, the company owner walked into the office and said, "I have a surprise for all of you." One of the applicants asked, "What kind of surprise, sir?" The owner looked at the poor man and asked, "Why did you bring your son with you?" The poor man replied, "Sir, my wife passed away. My son and I only have each other, so I couldn't leave him home alone." The owner nodded and said, "Your interview is already over." Two applicants looked confused. "When did you interview us?" they asked. The owner answered, "About 30 minutes ago, on the street." Then he looked at both men and said, "Neither of you is qualified for this job. You showed no compassion, no honesty, and no willingness to help someone in need. This position belongs to this man." The two men protested. "Sir, we're more educated and far more qualified than he is." The owner calmly replied, "My company doesn't need people with impressive resumes but dishonest hearts. I need employees who are honest, kind, and willing to help others. There is no place in my company for thieves." Ashamed, both men took the stolen money out of their pockets, placed it on the desk, and quietly walked away. The company owner shook the poor man's hand and said, "You raised your son well. His honesty tells me everything I need to know about your character." The father and son left the office with big smiles on their faces, proving that honesty, kindness, and compassion will always be worth more than wealth.